Hey guys, how's it going? So, I've been studying super hard and I wanted to start sharing with you guys the things I've been learning. So, of course, I started with the things that are me, right? So I could understand myself, but hopefully, you guys will benefit from my learning. So, today I want to talk about generators. So, generators make up 37% of the population, and if you're a manifesting generator, this includes you because you're a generator first with the manifesting added on top of it. So, you want to start by watching this video if you can, if it feels good to you. So, generators and manifesting generators, this is you, okay? So, generators make up 37% of the population. They're the workforce, they're the builders, they're the doers, they get crap done. Hold on one second. I'm going to shut my office door. So, generators have a defined sacral. So let me show you guys. That's this spot right here, the red square. So if you have this on your chart, you're probably either a generator or a manifesting generator. And so the sacral is where their sustained energy comes from. So the sacral is the biggest power source in the human design chart, okay? So it's where sustained energy comes from. And people who have generators specifically, so my husband's a generator, so he does not have a defined throat center. And so people who are generators will either have an undefined throat center or they will not have a connection to the throat. So that's the difference between a manifesting generator and a generator. So generators, their strategy, their way of behaving and making decisions is to never initiate. So let me explain what that means. And I'm not telling you what to do, okay? That's super important. Like, this is just going to be a strategy that's going to help you have the most effectiveness in your life and be most in alignment. So you feel intuitive whether if it's right for you or not, but this is the idea behind human design and generators. So generators they're never supposed to initiate anything. But the problem with it is this is what happens is most of us in life, we're deeply trained to have an idea and make it happen. It's like, get an idea, go out there, make it happen, do it. But here's what happens with generators. Because you have no will center, you might push to try and make an idea happen and then not experience the results that you're trying to get. So if you guys, any of you watched my video that I did yesterday, I think it was, I talked in there about a story about how I wanted to do something and I tried to make it happen and then it ended up like kind of being a bad idea for me and it didn't work out and it was not good. So what happens often for generators is they get lots of thoughts and ideas, especially if they have an undefined headspace. And the key here is to learn to make decisions from your sacral and not your head. Okay. So, and I'm going to show you guys how to do this. So I have lots of notes here. So this was like so exciting for me to learn this today because it just like is just blowing my mind. So you're supposed to wait to respond. So thoughts are not the things you should respond to, okay? You need to wait for something to show up in your outer world, okay, right? So I have lots of thoughts and I put this out here and I'm like, ooh, I want to do this. This sounds fun. That's a good idea. And then I need something, we're going to pretend this is someone outside of me, to show up. And they're like, oh, hey, I need you to do this. Oh, hey, like, what do you think of this? Or you see a sign and you're like, that's totally, like, matches what I was thinking. Or, like, I've been thinking about doing this class, and I mentioned it to my business partner, and she said to me, she just texted me a little bit ago, and she goes, so are you doing that class? And I was like, well, I've been waiting for something in my outer world to respond to. And she goes, you mean like me asking you? So it's kind of funny. So you need something in your outside world to be a confirmation because, especially if you have an undefined headspace, you're going to have so many thoughts that are in your head that don't belong to you, so it's hard to know what to respond to. So see what your outer reality begins to reveal to you about the direction you should go. So the outer world confirms that the thought is the direction, not the thought confirms where you're supposed to go. So this is super important and it will massively change your life if you start to follow this. So it doesn't have to be a big thing. It can be something really small. Like, for instance, I have an idea and then all of a sudden something shows up in my Facebook feed, or maybe somebody texts me and asks me a question that lines up with it. Or one cool experience that I had with this was when I first was getting like thoughts and ideas about having some classes at my office last year. One of my friends messaged me and she's like, hey, have you ever thought about doing an emotion code class? And I was like, actually, I have. And then when I started doing it, it ended up being this big thing. I was teaching classes every month and it was so fun. And that totally was exactly what was supposed to happen, because what I did is I responded to something in my outside world and it felt good. So the thing for generators is it has to feel good, right? It has to come from the gut, the sacral, and it has to be, so generators respond from a uh-huh and a uh-uh. So they have to be asked a question, and it's usually a yes or no question, but they don't answer it in a yes or no. They answer it from this guttural, uh-huh, yep, that feels right, or a uh-uh, nope, that doesn't feel right, okay? So for you as a generator, the most important thing you could do for yourself is learn to respond with uh-huh and uh-uh, okay? So this is going to be like number one. So the emotional theme of a generator is going to be frustration. If you try to make something happen, you try to push it for you, you tend to experience frustration, okay? So as a generator, you'll never be able to not have frustration. This is kind of like a theme, but the frustration is what shows you when you're out of alignment. And also, we're going to talk in a little bit about one other way frustration helps you. So as frustration is an indicator that you are about to have a breakthrough as a generator. Okay, so when you're feeling frustration, generators learn from what's called a stair-step learning curve. So if you can imagine, we take a step up and we master something, and then we have a plateau. And we can often feel a frustration on the plateau, and then we go, why am I not moving forward? Why am I not, like, I don't understand what's happening. And so generators can often tend to quit if they feel like things aren't moving. But what happens is they're supposed to use that frustration to push them to have a breakthrough. And then the more the frustration builds, the more they know that they're on the cusp of another step up in mastery. So the frustration isn't, if you can learn to not let it cause you to want to quit and use it as an indicator that I'm not in alignment, or there's something I'm learning and it's going to push me to like get to a space where I can master that thing and then take a step up and move into the next. So they learn in a stair-step learning curve. It's not a bell curve. It's I step up, I feel some frustration, that pushes me to do something, and I step up. And so the frustration is not meant to like be what causes you to make decisions. It's when you're supposed to go, oh, I'm feeling frustration. What do I need to ask myself? What do I need? And oftentimes, so in human design, what they have is they call them sacral sessions. And it's somebody who has a sacral response. You sit down with someone and you just have them ask you a bunch of questions. And then what you do is you respond from your sacral. And then what that does is it helps you to get clarity, and then you know what you're supposed to do because you're asking your sacral and things get really, really, really clear. So this, for people who are generators and manifesting generators, having a coach or someone who can ask you lots of questions, like a friend or something like that, can be massively helpful for you. So generators need to find the work that is right for them. Generators have the ability to do pretty much anything, but if they're not doing something that they love, or that their sacral is saying, yes, this is for me, they're going to have about half the energy. Now, they don't experience burnout as much as, like, let's say a projector, a manifestor, or a reflector. But they will not have the energy and vitality and joy in life if they're doing something that they don't love. So when you find something in your outside world that kind of shows up and says, oh, you should do this, and then you respond to that through the sacral response, then what happens is that sacral starts generating energy, and then it just like pushes you forward, and you just get all this energy, and you just want to do like nothing but work, and you're excited about that thing. It gives you drive, and you can often not want to go to sleep, or you can just like be like a workaholic. So like my husband, who's a generator, when he loves what he's doing and he's excited about it, he just wants to work like all the time. But if you're not doing something that feels good to you, or it's not in alignment, then you're not going to want to do it. So just a quick example of what this looks like. When it came to our house, we were kind of wanting to do it all on our own and pay for it in cash. And then we got to this point where like my husband just knew that was not like going to keep working. Like he couldn't sustain, it didn't feel good. And so he was like losing his steam completely and didn't want to work on the house. And then what happened is when we were able to get alone, it was like all of a sudden it was like, yes, that was alignment. That's what we're supposed to do. We need to not keep wasting time. It was like all of a sudden his energy just like ramped back up and he's like, go, 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 go. And both of us can just feel this like push and drive to move forward and get it done really quickly. And so when you're in alignment, you're going to have all the energy in the world. When you're not in alignment, when you're not responding from a sacral space of what's right, then you're going to lose your vitality and joy for life and you will have no excitement. So the sacral center is the most powerful motor. When you are in alignment, you're going to have all the energy in the world. And so that's a really good indication for you of when you're on the right path or not. So generators are here to master and increase their skill set through that stair-step learning curve, okay? By taking a step, waiting, responding, and then taking another step, waiting, responding, and then taking another step. So response is If you're a generator, start practicing that. So this includes me, and I'm really, really, really excited to start doing this. So this activates the sacral, okay? So if you start responding like this, you're going to know exactly and immediately what you're supposed to do. Out of the head, into the sacral, okay? So sacral, for a generator, the sacral is your life path magnet, okay? It tells you like a vibrational magnet. It allows you to connect with the path that is yours and what you're supposed to follow. So it's like superpower, right? And we all, every type has their own like way to respond. So is going to connect you with your life path, okay? So you're designed to follow things that feel good and yummy. So this was a huge realization for me that I just had today, because I had Wednesdays are my meetings with my coach, and I was feeling frustrated about something and we were working through it. And I had this huge realization at the end. I was like, why am I forcing myself to do this thing that doesn't feel yummy? It doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good in my body. And all of a sudden I just realized that like, I'm trying to force myself to do something from a not sacral place. I'm trying to force myself to do something from a head space, from a, I need to do this. I have to do this. I should do this. For generators and manifesting generators, like it will be the death of you if you respond from this head space. Okay. It's like it has to feel good in the body. It has to feel yummy. It has to be like a, that feels really good kind of a feeling. Okay. So when you don't respond to the sacral, again, I shoulds, I have to, all that, you're going to lose your energy and your life force is going to be drained out of you. So I had this huge realization this morning that for most of my life, because I'm a 6'3", up until my Saturn return, I lived like in complete fatigue, like all the time. It was because I wasn't living in alignment. And so when I came out of my Saturn return and I like started to step on the path and like be who I really am, it's like all of a sudden I had all this energy and my life force started to come back and I had motivation and things completely changed for me. And so I could see that. I could see that previously I was not living in alignment. And when I stepped onto my path, it was like, whoa, I'm a completely different person. And I had this drive and energy to do the things that I really wanted to do. So generators respond well to questions. So if you're struggling with something, have someone ask you lots of questions about the thing that you're struggling with and then respond with the yes or no questions, okay? You won't know what's true. I'm going to say this again. You will not know what's true unless you respond from the sacral. If you're making decisions from your head, it's going to end badly. Okay? It's going to end, it's going to be hit or miss. You may only hit the mark like, I don't know, 20-30% of the time, I don't know. But all I know is, especially if you're completely undefined headspace, you're going to have everybody else's thoughts and ideas in your head, and you will not be able to make good decisions. So this is huge for generators and manifesting generators, okay? So always check in with the sacral. And for me, one thing I've just been doing is I've been taking big deep breaths and like seeing that my energy's up here, and I just... and I bring it down here and I ask myself a question, or I have someone else ask me a question. Is this right for me? Is this right for me? Yeah, it feels good right here, right? Okay. So that's going to be huge for you to practice. So generators and manifesting generators are one of the only types that can really truly know themselves. But in order to know themselves, they need to be able to ask themselves questions. Now, okay, let me take that back. All types can know themselves, but generators don't need someone else to know themselves, okay? So reflectors, projectors, and manifestors need other people to help them to learn to know themselves. And generators and manifesting generators can know themselves by just asking questions. So that's the difference there. So for a generator, worry is going to be your biggest enemy, okay? Headspace, worry comes from the headspace. And if you just check in with your sacral response, then you're going to know. That's going to bring you clarity. So responses to questions bring clarity. It helps you access your truth, and you should be able to bypass the confusion of the mind if you just check in with your sacral. So, we already talked about stair-step learning curve, but it's basically like plateau, wait to respond, take a step up. Plateau, wait to respond, take a step up. So what happens is you, for a generator, you just have to remember that like you can feel like you want to quit when you're on a plateau, but you need to make a decision whether to go forward or to quit out of response. Don't make it out of the emotional authority. So generators and manifesting generators, depending on the type, can have an emotional authority or not an emotional authority. But so for me, like I'm a manifesting generator, and I have an emotional authority. So I need to not respond in an emotional authority, meaning I will have waves of emotion, and I need to not make a decision when I'm at the top of the wave or the bottom of the wave. I need to make a decision when it feels calm and clear. So let's see. Okay, so frustration can cause you to bail, but frustration can be your best friend as a generator. If you learn to use that frustration as an indicator that you're on the verge of a breakthrough, and then you respond in your response theme, then you'll be making decisions. Like sometimes you are supposed to quit something, sometimes you aren't. Generators don't necessarily always have one path of mastery, so it's important to remember that. You are allowed to quit things if you're responding. I mean, allowed, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but like that's just the strategy, okay? So respond from sacral, don't quit unless you're waiting to respond and it's from the right response, okay? So generators and relationships. So my husband's a generator, like I said. He's also a red in aura personalities, if you know anything about that. So this makes complete sense to me. So generators have a fixed sexual energy. It's not variable. So they're probably going to have high sex drives, or possibly, it just depends. But I don't know a ton about that yet. But so you need to wait to respond to get into a relationship. And you need to be asked questions to maintain vitality in your relationship. So you need someone who understands you and knows that you need to be asked questions. And if you're a generator and you aren't working, it will leak out sideways in your relationship. So this is really interesting because my husband, there's been times in our relationship, he works construction. And so like sometimes in the winter when the weather's bad and he can't go to work, he just sits around and mopes all day and is like the most grumpy person ever. And it leaks out sideways on everybody, right? So for generators, if they're not working, they're not going to be happy, most likely. So it can really affect a relationship if they don't have somewhere to like use that energy that they have. So generators need to wear themselves out every day. They need physical movement and exercise, and they need to move and groove. And then when their head hits the pillow, they need to be exhausted, so to speak, or they need to feel like they got out all their energy. They will get restful sleep if they're doing that. If they're not, moving and grooving, and they lay down and go to bed at night and they didn't use up all that energy, they're probably not going to sleep very well. So that's a good indicator for a generator if they're having bad sleep, that they're not using all their energy. So let's see. Oh, okay. So when it comes to health, generators need to trust their sacral. So for them, it's going to be does this feel good? Does this feel right? Kind of a thing. So they probably are not going to be very good at sticking to like a specific diet unless it's like right for them, right? So they respond to the diet that feels correct. They find what works. So for me, I'm a manifesting generator. And one way I can see how this shows up for me is like, I will know just in my gut, like if I need a supplement or if I need to eat something or whatnot. It's like just a knowing that comes from this, like, It just feels right, right? I can look at a supplement and go, do I need that? Do I need that? Yep. It's that simple, okay? So, so one last thing, again, like for a generator, if you aren't working, you will lose your vitality and energy. Or if you're not doing the thing that feeds your soul, right, that doesn't feel like it's in alignment with your path. So as a generator, your spiritual job is to turn inspiration into form in alignment, meaning if you're inspired and then it shows up in your outside world, respond from your sacral, and then you generate and create that thing into physical form. So my husband, again, is a really good example of this. He builds houses for a living, and he can see things in his mind, and it's like, if the things come together, he can just like make it happen and create, and it's just like the most beautiful thing ever, right? So you use inspiration and respond from your sacral, and then you can put things into form. So your job is to find out what inspiration is right for you, and then keep learning and mastering that thing, okay? So learn to trust your sacral. Bypass the language of thought. That's the job of a generator, okay? Work. Get out of your head. And learn to work with your frustration, okay? Use your frustration as an indicator, and it's gonna be awesome. So I am like so excited because this is just like, it makes me, I feel like knowing yourself just gives you so much power in life. Like, things get easier. You can create from a space of like awesomeness. It's just beautiful. So I am excited for all you guys that are generators on here to give me notes about what you're hearing and thinking and feeling, and like, does this feel right to you? How does it feel in your body? Check with your sacral response. Give me a or in the comments. So, I'm going to jump off now. So I'm doing these videos, and I'm just going to try to keep them not too long, and then they're all going to go in the units tab. So, you guys can kind of, when you see in your chart, like what's yours and what's not, you can go to the units tab and go, okay, I have this. I'm going to click on that video and watch that, and that tells me about this. So I'm just going to keep sharing my information, and, as I learn it. And, again, guys, I don't claim to be an expert on this, but it's super fun for me to see how this is like showing up in my life, and then share with you guys, and then get your responses and like your confirmations that this is how it works for you too, because it's just fun. It feels yummy to me. That's so funny. I just like, yeah. So tell me, I would love to hear from you guys that are watching this. Tell me something that feels like that in your life. Like, is there something that you do or are creating that just like gives you that yummy good like feeling, that sacral this is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing kind of a feeling? So okay, I'd love your feedback. I'm gonna go. I could chat forever, but I'm gonna go. Okay guys, bye.